The galaxy was vast, stretching in every direction like a dark ocean dotted with glittering lights. Planets, moons, and space stations spun silently around distant suns. In the heart of this immensity, a small blue and green world sent a call that would shake the stars. It was not a normal message. It was a distress call, urgent and desperate, reaching across the void to anyone who might listen. Every other civilization ignored it. They calculated the risk, weighed the danger, and turned away. The problem seemed too great. The solution? Impossible. But far beyond the reaches of polite alliances and careful calculations, a small ship streaked through the blackness. Its hull was scarred from years of surviving storms, radiation belts, and asteroid fields. This was a Deathworlder ship, and on board were the humans who thrived where no one else could. Captain Mira Kellen stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the approaching distress beacon. She was tall and strong, built from decades of training on the harshest planets humanity had colonized. Her crew moved around her efficiently, each member used to danger and challenges that would terrify most species. "Captain," said Lieutenant Jace Oren, his voice calm but alert. "The signal is still stable. They're expecting help. If anyone listens." Mira nodded. "Then we will answer. Humanity doesn't run from danger. That's what makes us different." Her voice carried confidence, the kind that could steady nerves even in the most dangerous situations. The crew exchanged glances. They were ready. Every human on that ship had survived things others would call impossible planets, with skies of acid rain, predators that could crush a human in one bite, diseases that would kill in hours. They were engineered by necessity, honed by struggle. They were humanity at its most extreme. The aliens who had sent the call were unlike any humans had ever encountered. Their world was technologically advanced, but fragile. Their bodies weak compared to Deathworlders. They had resources, weapons, and knowledge, but they lacked the one thing humans possessed in abundance: sheer adaptability. As the ship approached the alien planet, Mira looked out at the swirling clouds and jagged mountains far below. Lightning cracked through the sky in colors she had never seen before. Winds howled across deserts that seemed alive, shifting and moving like a living creature. The planet was beautiful, but deadly. "Sensors report massive energy surges near the capital city," said engineer Tali Rin, pointing at the holographic display. "They're trying to hold something off, but they won't last long." Mira clenched her fists. "Then it's our job to give them a chance. Prepare for descent. Keep your suits ready, but expect the unexpected. This isn't a rescue mission. This is survival, theirs and ours." The crew of the Deathworlder ship knew the risks. Unlike other species, humans had been tested by worlds designed to kill. On their home planets, gravity could crush bones, radiation could warp cells, and the atmosphere could poison the lungs. Yet, they adapted, thrived, and learned to use danger as a tool. "Descent in 5, announced the navigator. The ship's engines flared as it moved into the planet's turbulent atmosphere. Lightning arced dangerously close, but the reinforced hull held. The human crew worked with precision, adjusting shields and thrusters with practiced skill. Each movement was deliberate, each decision informed by instinct, honed through years of surviving impossible odds. Below them, the alien city sprawled like a jewel, towers rising from the jagged terrain. But it was not a city of calm or order. Smoke and fire rose from the streets, and strange, glowing creatures moved like waves across the land. The swarm that threatened this world was alive with energy, unstoppable in its hunger, consuming everything in its path. The aliens tried to fight, using weapons of light and force fields, but it was not enough. Their strength lay in invention, not endurance. They could create machines to strike far away, but when danger came close, they were fragile. Mira had seen this many times. In other worlds, strength alone did not matter. Only the ability to think, adapt, and act under pressure could save lives. Landing zone clear. For now, said Jace, scanning for hazards. But the swarm is approaching faster than we expected. Mira nodded. Good. That will test them, and us. Humans do best when the odds are against them. Let's show them what that means. As the ship descended, the aliens watched in awe. They had never seen humans before. Stories of Deathworlders had circulated through the galaxy, whispered in fear or disbelief. But seeing them was different. These were creatures born of hostile worlds, forged in storms that would destroy any ordinary being. Every movement was precise, efficient, and fearless. Mira activated the communications link. We are here to help, she said simply. Tell us what you need, and we will do it. The alien voice that answered trembled. We did not expect anyone. You are different. Mira smiled slightly. Different is what keeps us alive. And it was true. Humans were different. They did not rely solely on technology, politics, or luck. They relied on courage, creativity, and the ability to endure what others could not. In that difference lay hope not just for themselves, but for civilizations on the brink of annihilation. The ship touched down, sending dust and debris into the air. Mira and her team stepped out, their boots crunching on alien soil. The air was thin and tinged with chemicals. But the humans breathed freely. They had adapted to worse. Around them, the alien scientists and soldiers looked on, unsure whether to trust these newcomers. Mira surveyed the landscape. Smoke rose from broken buildings. The swarm's glowing forms flickered in the distance. And the wind carried a scent of ozone and destruction. We start now, she said. We plan as we move. No hesitation. Every second counts. Her crew nodded. They were ready. They had faced worlds that would kill in minutes, storms that could tear cities apart, predators that could crush bone and sinew. This planet, with its alien swarm and fragile civilization, would be no different. Because humanity did not survive by being cautious, humanity survived by being unbreakable. And now, this alien world would learn the true meaning of human courage. The ship's engines hummed softly as it settled on the jagged plain outside the alien capital. Dust and sparks flew into the air, carried by strong winds that made every step dangerous. Mira Kellen looked out over the terrain, her eyes scanning for threats. Every ridge and cliff could hide danger. Every movement in the swirling storms might signal a predator or something far worse. Behind her, her crew prepared for the descent. Lieutenant Jace Oren checked their equipment, ensuring every energy shield, every atmospheric suit, every weapon improvised from their own ship's resources was functioning perfectly. Engineer Tali Rin monitored environmental sensors, recording radiation levels, wind velocity, and the strange, fluctuating energy readings that the alien scientists had sent. This place, it's alive, Tali murmured. The weather, the ground, everything is moving, shifting. It's not stable. Mira nodded. That's why we thrive where others fail. Adaptation isn't optional for us, it's survival. Watch your step and trust your instincts. The aliens emerged cautiously from a nearby transport. They were tall and slender, with delicate limbs and skin that shimmered faintly under the storm's light. Their faces were pale, almost translucent, showing the lines of fear and exhaustion. They had been trying to repel the swarm on their own, and failure had left them desperate. Welcome, one of them said, his voice trembling but polite. We did not know if anyone would answer our call. The swarm. It's real, Mira said simply. We saw the readings on the way here, and we're here to help. The alien leader hesitated, glancing at his people. You are not like any we have known, Your kind survives in worlds we would consider dead. Mira allowed a small smile. We do not just survive. We adapt, we endure, and we fight. That is what we bring. The alien leader blinked in surprise. Humans had a reputation, but seeing them in person was something else entirely. These were not diplomats, not soldiers with training based in comfort or luxury. These were survivors, and their presence carried a confidence born of experience, not arrogance. Mira gestured for her team to follow. Lead the way. Show us what we're dealing with. The group moved cautiously toward the capital. The streets were a maze of jagged metal, twisted stone, and glowing energy residue. The alien soldiers had tried to create barriers, but the swarm had smashed through every defense. Fires burned in the distance, sending plumes of smoke into the stormy sky. This is worse than we expected, said Jace. The swarm has already reached the lower districts. If it continues, the capital will be lost in hours. Mira studied the map displayed on her wrist device. Then, we act now. We don't wait for perfection. We improvise. We survive. That is what humanity does best. Their first encounter with the swarm came almost immediately. A small group of glowing, energy-like creatures rose over a broken bridge, hovering above the ground. They moved with speed, their forms shifting unpredictably. The aliens froze, unsure how to respond. Mira stepped forward. Follow my lead. Keep moving. Watch their behavior. The Deathworlders advanced, their movements precise. They did not rely on conventional weapons alone. They observed, calculated, and reacted with intuition. Using a combination of alien tools and human improvisation, they set small traps in the creature's path, luring them toward unstable terrain. The swarm hesitated for a moment, then surged forward exactly where the humans wanted. Rocks fell from cliffs, energy fields pulsed from improvised devices, and the swarm's advance slowed. The aliens gasped. They had tried similar methods and failed. Only these humans, these Deathworlders, could manipulate the environment so effectively, using instinct as their weapon. We are fast learners, Tali said. Her fingers flew across controls, adjusting energy pulses and shields to protect the group. And we adapt to threats. That's why we survive. The alien leader's eyes widened. Your kind. You think differently. You improvise. That is remarkable. Mira did not pause. Remarkable isn't the word. Necessary is. We have survived where others would have perished. That knowledge makes us useful, not just strong. As they continued through the streets, the Deathworlders discovered that the swarm was attracted to predictable energy sources, power grids, artificial lighting, even the aliens' defensive weapons. Mira realized immediately that the aliens' reliance on technology made them vulnerable. Energy patterns, she muttered. They feed on it. They respond to it. If we can be unpredictable, we can control them. Jace nodded. Then we need to change the battlefield. Make it human. The team split into small units, each taking a section of the city. They did not fear the hazards that stopped the aliens. One unit navigated through collapsing buildings, using their suits and experience to avoid falling debris. Another unit set improvised traps, using native materials to create energy pulses that confused the swarm. Every move was calculated but daring, relying on human instinct rather than alien rules. Hours passed in tense action. Fires flared, energy creatures screamed in pulses of light, and the wind carried the scent of ozone and burning metal. Yet the humans pressed forward, saving alien civilians, guiding soldiers to safety, and neutralizing segments of the swarm with creativity and courage. Finally, Mira called a halt. The first stage of containment was complete. The swarm had been slowed, Her people were safe, and the aliens had a chance to regroup. The alien leader approached, his face a mixture of awe and relief. "You have saved many lives today. We cannot believe it. Our best scientists, our best soldiers, none could do what you have done." Mira shook her head. "We didn't do it alone. We acted together. With courage, with intelligence, and with adaptability. That is what humans do. That is why we survive. And it is why we are here to give you a chance to survive too." The alien leader bowed his head slightly. "We will remember this. Your kind is unlike any other in the galaxy." Mira's gaze swept over the city. Smoke still rose, and the swarm had not been fully stopped. But for the first time, the aliens saw a way forward. Where they had despaired, humans had found opportunity. Where they had been fragile, humans had been strong. "This is only the beginning," Mira said quietly, more to herself than anyone else. "We face the swarm, the storms, and the impossible. But humans, we thrive where others fail. That is what we bring. That is what we are." The Deathworlders stood among the alien citizens and soldiers, a living symbol of survival against impossible odds. They were not heroes in the traditional sense. They were survivors, adapted to death worlds, fearless and unbroken. And as the alien population watched, hope began to bloom where despair had taken root. Because when humans arrived, danger became challenge, fear became opportunity, and survival became a force unlike any other in the galaxy. And on this alien world, for the first time in generations, survival seemed possible. The sky above the alien capital burned with light. Energy arcs flashed across the horizon as the swarm moved like a living storm, devouring everything in its path. Buildings that had once gleamed with alien technology now lay in ruins, twisted metal and shattered glass reflecting the glowing forms of the creatures. Captain Mira Kellen and her Deathworlder crew advanced cautiously. Every step was calculated, every move measured, but the danger was immediate. The swarm's energy pulses made the air hum with electricity, and even from a distance, the creatures radiated heat and power. "They're faster than we expected," Lieutenant Jace Oren said, scanning the creatures with a portable device. "And their formations, it's like they're thinking together." Mira nodded. "Maybe. But they're predictable in one way. They feed on energy patterns. We just have to be unpredictable." Engineer Tali Rin activated a series of improvised energy emitters. "I've set up interference fields. If we can confuse them, we can control their movement." The first wave of the swarm approached. Its glowing forms twisted and pulsed, moving in patterns designed to consume everything alive. Alien soldiers fired weapons of light, but the energy creatures easily deflected the attacks. Civilians screamed and ran, many trapped under the rubble of destroyed buildings. "Stay calm," Mira said, her voice steady. "Humans don't panic. We adapt. Watch and learn." The Deathworlders split into small units. Each used their knowledge of extreme environments to turn the battlefield into an advantage. Where the aliens had failed, humans thrived. They climbed unstable walls, navigated collapsing bridges, and used debris as cover and weapons. One human, Lyra Voss, spotted a cluster of swarm creatures moving toward a group of trapped civilians. Without hesitation, she leapt across the rubble. Using a combination of gravity, manipulation tools, and sheer agility to create a temporary barrier of energy pulses. The swarm hesitated, confused by the unpredictable interference. The civilians escaped safely. The aliens watched in awe. They are fearless," one soldier whispered, "and clever. Their actions are unexpected." Mira moved to another part of the battlefield. Energy fluctuations. She called out to her team. "Use them. Lead the swarm into unstable zones. Make the terrain our weapon. Jace quickly understood. He adjusted the energy patterns in the emitters to simulate a large energy source, luring a section of the swarm toward a collapsing ridge. Rocks tumbled, energy arcs danced, and the creatures became trapped in a temporary cage of falling debris and interference fields. Good, Mira said. Keep going. Every wave we control gives the aliens time to regroup. The humans worked with speed and precision. Every Deathworlder moved instinctively, combining their physical skill with tactical thinking, honed on worlds that would have killed ordinary beings. They improvised shields from native minerals, set traps that exploited the swarm's feeding patterns, and guided civilians to safety with careful coordination. But the swarm was relentless. Its numbers seemed infinite, and new waves emerged from the city's outskirts. Mira knew they couldn't hold forever with brute force alone. They needed a plan that relied on human ingenuity, not just courage. Listen, Mira said, crouching beside Tali and Jace. We can't fight them like the aliens do. They try to destroy the swarm directly. That fails. We confuse it, manipulate it, and use the environment. Humans have survived impossible odds by turning danger into advantage. This is no different. Number 5. Minister 5. We have to do K. We have not reflections on the say. Tali nodded. I can extend the interference fields and use natural energy sources. If we amplify unpredictability, the swarm will follow patterns we control. Exactly, Mira said. We make them predictable by being unpredictable ourselves. That's humanity's strength. The next phase began. Small groups of humans moved into the streets, placing devices and setting traps while avoiding the swarm's immediate attention. Using native minerals and salvage technology, they created decoys of energy, simulating massive power sources that did not exist. The swarm, following its instinct to feed, redirected itself toward the decoys. Meanwhile, humans and alien soldiers worked together, guided by the Deathworlders' strategy. Civilians were evacuated through safe corridors, and damaged structures were used to funnel the swarm into controlled zones. It was dangerous work. Any mistake could cost lives. But humans had no fear of danger, they thrived in it. As the swarm advanced toward one sector, Mira observed a group of creatures surrounding a critical power hub. She gestured to Jace. We can't let them destroy that hub. Set the decoy. Jace activated the device. A pulse of false energy shot into the air, drawing the creatures away from the hub. Rocks shifted, fields activated, and the swarm moved precisely where the humans wanted. Alien engineers gasped at the precision. The battle continued through the day and into the night. The storm above raged, lightning striking at random, making the environment even more dangerous. Yet the humans adapted seamlessly. They moved with instinct, turning every hazard into a tool, every obstacle into an advantage. Finally, a massive segment of the swarm approached the city center. Mira knew this was the real test. The creatures were larger, faster, and more aggressive than anything they had faced. Alien soldiers faltered, but the humans did not. Time for the final phase, Mira said. She assigned groups to each key location: decoys, interference zones, and evacuation routes. Every move was synchronized, every action deliberate. The swarm entered the trap. False energy sources pulsed unpredictably, guiding the creatures toward unstable terrain. Rocks and debris collapsed in their path, energy fields disrupted their formation, and human ingenuity directed their movement. The creatures, intelligent only in instinct, followed patterns laid out by humans they could not anticipate. The aliens watched in awe. They are controlling them, one whispered. With no power, no weapons, just strategy. Hours later, the first wave of the swarm was contained, redirected into zones where it could be neutralized safely. The city was damaged, but not destroyed. The alien population had survived, and for the first time in days, hope returned. Mira surveyed the battlefield. Her crew was tired but unbroken. Their actions had saved thousands of lives, but she knew the swarm had more to come. This was only the beginning of the fight. She addressed her team. "You've done well. Every life saved today is proof that humans survive where others fail. Remember that. Humans endure. Humans adapt. And that is why we are here." The aliens began to understand. Humanity was not just strong, not just brave. Humans were adaptable beyond measure, capable of turning the impossible into opportunity. They had seen technology fail, strategy fail, and hope fail, but humans never failed. And in that moment, the alien leaders realized a truth they had never understood. Sometimes, the galaxy needed not the strongest soldiers or the most advanced machines. Sometimes, it needed humans, creatures forged in the deadliest worlds, fearless, adaptable, and unbroken. As the storm raged on, the Deathworlders prepared for the next wave, their determination unwavering. They were not just fighting for the aliens, they were demonstrating the essence of humanity. Survival against impossible odds, intelligence in action, and courage in the face of certain danger. Because when humans face the impossible learns to fear them. The alien city was a battlefield under stormy skies. Energy pulses streaked through the air as the swarm surged relentlessly, testing every defense the Deathworlders and their allies had set. Buildings cracked, smoke rose from collapsed streets, and yet, among the chaos, humans moved with calm precision. Danger was familiar to them, a constant companion, and they used it as an advantage. Captain Mira Kellen stood atop a jagged ridge overlooking the city center. Below her, a massive section of the swarm threatened the alien capital, glowing and pulsing with energy. Mira's eyes scanned the scene. This was no ordinary threat. This was the swarm's largest and most dangerous formation yet. Its hunger and intelligence were growing with every passing hour. "We can't stop them all at once," Mira said to her team. "We need to split them, control their movement, and hit their weak points. Timing and coordination are everything. Humans survive where others fail, and today, we prove it again." Lieutenant Jace Oren adjusted his energy stabilizers. "I've amplified the decoys and interference zones. If we can lure them correctly, we can force them into the hazardous zones we identified earlier." Engineer Tali Rin nodded, adding, "We can also create shock pulses from the terrain. Rocks, energy fields, even the buildings themselves. Anything we can use to redirect them safely. It will be risky, but effective." The humans moved into position. Their movements were fluid, instinctive, yet precise. Alien soldiers watched, some in disbelief, others in awe. They had weapons and shields, but it was the humans' courage and ingenuity that truly controlled the battlefield. The first wave advanced into the decoy zones. Energy pulses created by Tali's devices pulsed unpredictably, drawing the swarm into prearranged traps. The creatures hesitated, confused by the changing patterns. Rocks tumbled from unstable cliffs. Energy fields pulsed with force, and the swarm's forward movement slowed. Mira turned to Jace. "Good. Now, we need a controlled collapse in the next sector. It will force the swarm further into the traps. Volunteers?" Without hesitation, Lieutenant Jace stepped forward. "I'll do it. You know me. I've handled worse." Mira nodded. Jace sprinted toward the collapsing ridge, adjusting energy stabilizers as he went. The rocks and debris were unstable, and the swarm closed in fast. With a precise pulse, he triggered a controlled collapse, creating a wall that forced the swarm to split and follow the paths laid out by the humans. Sparks flew, dust clouded the air, but the maneuver succeeded. Civilians ran to safety, guided by other team members. The alien leaders watched, stunned. They are controlling the swarm without destroying it directly, one whispered. It's incredible. But the battle was far from over. A massive section of the swarm moved toward the energy hub, the heart of the city's defense. If it fell, the entire capital could be destroyed. Mira knew what had to be done. We can't just defend. We have to take the risk and strike at their center, she said. We'll need to create a massive diversion and use the terrain to our advantage. Humans don't hesitate. We improvise. 2 of her team members, Lyra Voss and Toma Rin, volunteered. Their task was dangerous. Lure the swarm into the canyon using energy signals and manual guidance. It was a gamble, but humans thrived under such pressure. As Lyra and Toma led the swarm away from the city, sparks flew, rocks tumbled, and energy pulses flashed unpredictably. The creatures followed, their instinct guiding them straight into the trap the humans had prepared. The alien soldiers watched as the impossible unfolded. Suddenly, a massive energy surge from the swarm's core targeted the city center. Mira reacted immediately. We need to shield the hub manually. Move now. Jace and Tali coordinated, directing energy shields while Mira used her experience to manipulate the interference fields. Sparks flew and a wave of energy nearly struck them, but they held their ground. Humans were trained for environments where failure meant death. Their endurance and courage were unmatched. Meanwhile, Lyra and Toma navigated through the canyon with the swarm following closely. The terrain was unstable, filled with jagged cliffs and natural hazards. One misstep could have ended their lives and the city's safety. But they moved with careful agility, guiding the swarm exactly where the humans wanted. The diversion worked perfectly. The swarm entered the canyon, surrounded by interference fields and unstable terrain. The creatures could not adapt fast enough. Rocks tumbled, energy pulses misled their instincts, and they became trapped, unable to escape. The alien population cheered, but Mira remained focused. This isn't over. The swarm is still large, and more may be coming. Humans survive because we anticipate danger and act decisively. Keep moving. Keep adapting. She turned to her team. Your courage has saved thousands today. You've shown that humans thrive where others falter. But now we push further. We teach the aliens the strength of adaptability and intelligence. This is humanity at its best. The aliens had never seen such skill in action. They had relied on technology and conventional strategies, but the humans had used instinct, courage, and ingenuity to shape the battlefield. Every action was precise, yet flexible. Every danger was turned into an advantage. Hours passed. The swarm was contained, the city stabilized, and civilians were safe. But the human crew did not rest. They repaired devices, recalibrated energy fields, and prepared for the next possible wave. Each Deathworlder knew that survival was not just about strength, but constant vigilance and adaptation. Finally, Mira gathered her team. You've done the impossible today. You've saved lives, controlled the swarm, and shown the aliens that humans are more than just survivors. We are innovators, warriors, and unbreakable. Remember this. Remember who we are. Humanity survives, not by chance, but by skill, courage, and adaptability. The alien leaders approached, faces filled with gratitude and respect. Your kind is unlike any we have known. You have shown us the meaning of courage and intelligence. We owe our lives to you. We owe our lives to you. Mira nodded. We did what humans always do. We survive, we adapt, and we protect. That is our gift. That is what makes us different. As the storm finally began to ease, the city still bore the marks of battle, but hope had returned. Humans had turned despair into opportunity. They had faced a threat no one else dared confront, and had succeeded, and the aliens would never forget it. Humanity had arrived, fearless, inventive, and unbroken. They had taken impossible odds and turned them into triumph, not through raw strength alone, but through strategy, courage, and unyielding adaptability. Because when humans stand against the impossible learns a simple truth. Humans do not just survive, they thrive. The storm above the alien capital had begun to fade. Clouds swirled in slower, calmer patterns, and the harsh winds that had battered the city finally eased. The sky, once lit by flashes of energy from the swarm, now glowed with the soft hues of an alien sunset. But the city still bore the scars of battle-twisted metal, shattered towers, and streets scorched by energy pulses. Captain Mira Kellen stood on a ridge overlooking the city, surveying the battlefield. The swarm had been contained, but small groups still moved in scattered zones. The Deathworlders were ready. This was the final phase, ensuring that no threat remained, that the aliens could rebuild, and that humanity's impact on this world would be remembered. "We finish this now," Mira said, her voice calm but commanding. "We've already proven we can survive the impossible. Now we show the aliens what humans can do when nothing else works." Lieutenant Jace Oren checked his equipment. "The remaining swarm clusters are weaker and more isolated. If we coordinate the final traps, we can neutralize them without destroying the city." Engineer Tali Rin nodded. "I've set up the last interference fields. With a few adjustments, the swarm will move exactly where we want. Their instincts will do the rest." Mira turned to the alien leaders, who had cautiously approached the ridge. Their eyes were wide with awe and respect. "This is your moment," Mira said. "We can guide you, but you must act. Humans survive because we adapt, think, and take risks. You have to trust yourself and us." The aliens hesitated, then nodded. For the first time, they felt that survival was possible, guided by humans who had thrived where danger ruled. The Deathworlders moved into position. Each member of the team had a specific role: guiding the swarm, activating traps, rescuing civilians, and monitoring energy surges. Their movements were fluid, instinctive, yet precise. They had faced worlds where death was constant, and the environment itself hostile. Here, they used that experience to turn the battlefield into an advantage. As the first cluster of the swarm approached, Lyra Voss activated a decoy device. A pulse of energy flared, drawing the creatures away from the city center. Toma Rin adjusted interference fields, ensuring the swarm moved along the safest path for the aliens. Jace Oren led another group, creating controlled collapses in unstable zones. Rocks and debris tumbled precisely as planned, directing the swarm into traps. The creatures struggled, their instincts deceived by the humans' clever designs. Mira herself moved among the teams, coordinating, observing, and intervening when needed. She guided the aliens' actions, showing them how to use their knowledge with human ingenuity. The alien soldiers followed her instructions, amazed at how the humans could manipulate danger and turn it into opportunity. Hours passed in tense, precise action. The swarm was gradually funneled into controlled zones, where it could be neutralized safely. No alien or human had been lost, thanks to careful planning, adaptability, and bravery. Finally, the last cluster of the swarm approached. This was the most dangerous segment: large, fast, and unpredictable. Mira knew the risk was high, but she also knew the reward. If they succeeded, the alien capital would survive intact, and humanity's legacy would be undeniable. "Focus," she told her team. "This is what humans do best. We survive when the odds are impossible. We fight with courage, intelligence, and heart. Remember your training. Trust your instincts. And act decisively." The humans sprang into action. Lyra and Toma lured the swarm along a narrow canyon filled with unstable terrain. Jace and Tali adjusted energy fields, creating unpredictable pulses that confused the creature's instincts. Mira activated additional decoys and guided the aliens to assist in precise maneuvers. The swarm hesitated, then moved exactly where the humans wanted. Rocks tumbled, energy fields pulsed, and creatures became trapped in zones where they could be neutralized safely. Every action was calculated yet fluid, every risk managed with skill and courage. The alien leaders watched in awe. They have turned a deadly force into a controlled event. Without destroying it directly, they've neutralized the threat. Your kind is extraordinary. Mira smiled faintly. Extraordinary is surviving impossible odds. Humans do what others cannot. We adapt, we endure, and we protect those who cannot protect themselves. As the final wave of the swarm was contained, the city was safe. The aliens cheered, rushing to embrace each other, their fear replaced by relief and gratitude. The Deathworlders stood quietly, surveying the aftermath. The storm was gone, the swarm neutralized, and the alien civilization had been saved. The alien leader approached Mira, bowing deeply. You have not only saved our city, but you have also taught us a lesson we will never forget. Your kind is unlike any in the galaxy. You have shown us courage, intelligence, and resilience beyond our comprehension. Mira shook her head. We didn't teach anything. We did what humans always do. We survive. We adapt. We face danger when others turn away. That is what makes us human. That is why we answer calls when no one else will. The aliens wanted to offer more technology, alliances, even a permanent place in their society. But the Deathworlders shook their heads. Their duty was done. They did not seek reward or comfort. Their lives were built on challenge, freedom, and survival. They had acted because it was necessary, because humans never turn away from danger, and because their skills could make a difference. We must return to our worlds, Mira said. We thrive where danger exists. Comfort is not our strength. Challenge is. Remember what you have learned. Courage, ingenuity, and adaptation are more powerful than any weapon. The alien population watched as the Deathworlders prepared to leave. Their presence had changed the galaxy's perception of humans. These were not ordinary beings, they were survivors, innovators, and warriors forged by worlds that others would call dead. As the ship lifted off, Mira looked down at the city. She saw the alien population rebuilding, their hope restored, their respect for humanity deepened. Humans had arrived when all hope seemed lost, and in doing so, they had left a lasting legacy. In the silence of space, Mira spoke to her crew. We have shown them what it means to survive against impossible odds. That is the mark of humanity. That is why we exist. We do not just live, we endure, adapt, and triumph. The crew nodded silently. Each knew the truth in her words. Humans were not the strongest, not the most technologically advanced, and not always the fastest, but they were unbreakable. They thrived where others perished. They turned danger into opportunity, fear into courage, and despair into hope. The alien world below would remember the humans forever. They had witnessed the essence of humanity, resilience, intelligence, and courage under impossible conditions. Humanity had arrived, faced a threat no other species would touch, and emerged victorious, not through sheer power alone, but through skill, adaptability. Captain Mira Kellen looked out into the vastness of space. Ahead lay other worlds, other challenges, and other calls for help. Humanity would continue, as it always had, surviving the impossible, facing danger without hesitation, and proving that no matter the odds, humans endure. And in the hearts of those aliens, far across the galaxy, The message was clear. When humanity answers, hope arrives, courage thrives, and the impossible becomes possible. Because humans do not just survive, they lead, endure, and inspire.